Hasenhüttl, Graeme, sacked by Southampton. This was a club you managed once, long time ago, but no great surprise in it, and that's sad in itself, isn't it?
He knew it was coming, and I actually commented on it when I was in the studio at Spurs yesterday about his interview before the game. He wouldn't look at the guy asking the questions. His head was down. He looked like a beaten man before the game. I think when you look back at the start of the season, they signed 9 players, Jim, with an average age of 21 years old. I don't believe any manager in that situation, no, any manager managing the Premier League would say that was a good idea. You know, from the start of the season, they're going to be in a dogfight. They're going to have difficult games. It's going to be nip and tuck, you know, as it has been for them in survival. 21-year-olds are not going to keep you in this league.
No.
So you'd have to say, well, you know, give me a chance this year. These boys, not all of them will be players. Maybe some of them, maybe half of them. I doubt half of them, but some of them might be players in the Premier League in 2 and 3 years' time. But what good is that to the current manager?
He marches out. Is it the right decision?
Well, look, I mean, I'm surprised it's taken this long, primarily because you've had a new ownership model. And when the new ownership model came in, he wasn't pulling up trees. And there's lots of reasons, and Graeme is absolutely right. If you're going to buy him a young squad, you've got to expect some time for this young squad to gel. It's been years of situations where Southampton have unfortunately had to lose their best players because other bigger clubs can lure them away by the very nature of the presence of these clubs. I've not been a Hasenhüttl admirer. I admired him greatly for the ability to recover after the 9-0 spanking they got from Leicester, and then 3 months later they righted that wrong by going and doing the situation of beating Leicester in the reverse game. I also wasn't an admirer, and people didn't like my attitude towards the fact that he was crying on the touchline after they beat Liverpool. I thought that was too much. I think it showed players a certain attitude and a side of your character that in a dressing room I don't think players should need to see. Everyone's human, everyone's emotional, but I think you've got to maintain a degree of dignity and control and lead your players and expect to win games and not be overly emotional about when you do win them. But I think on the whole, at times, they've been after him. We've been after him. The media's been after him. Whoever the category is, they've been building this narrative that forever and a day this guy's going to get it. And he's constantly avoided it. So I suspect it's probably a bleeding relief for him.
Yeah.
But what it leaves Southampton with, it leaves another manager with the very things that Graeme has said, which is a group of players which I don't understand. You've got a very I think it's a Serbian guy that came in and bought the football club. Was it Serbian or Croatian? Well, anyway, Serbian. That's got significant money, and he's come into a football club, and who would be advising him to spend a significant or insignificant amount of money on a variety of players that will take time to formulate into a size? I don't know what you think to that, Graeme.
It's enormously high risk to think that you can buy young players, foreign players, some of them, none of them with real experience in the Premier League, to come in and do a job in a team that you know is going to have a difficult season. And I don't know, and I actually know Dragon through golf.
Is he sensible, Eb?
Oh yeah, more than that, yeah. And I don't know who he's listening to, but I think that advice is extremely high risk.
You know,
when you buy a player who's 25, 26 from abroad, from another English team, someone who's performed in the Premier League, there's still a risk. You just don't know till you get them in.
Yeah.
But to buy kids who've got no experience, some foreign kids, it's too much. I think that's an inevitable outcome.
I mean, they've got a good CEO at Southampton as well. Martin Semmens is a good CEO. He's a sensible, solid CEO. So I just wonder what the thinking is. There must be some thinking now, whether it's flawed and silly thinking.
You've been in that situation. You've been an owner of a football club. It's now. It's not tomorrow. It's now.
It's a bit of both. It's a bit of both.
If you've got a settled squad, and you're not going to be risking. I mean, Southampton, people are saying was a good buy for Dragon. I would say I would agree with that, but as long as you're in the Premier League, you only paid X amount. As long as you're in the Premier League, you drop out the Premier League, and after 3 years you've no longer got the parachute payments. All of a sudden it isn't a great buy. So the priority for the owner, as I would have thought, and for whoever is the manager, is now. Stay in this division. Now it's not. And 9 is a lot of new players.
Well, they're 18th this morning as we sit and look at that Premier League table. The thing I felt yesterday, Graeme, was leaving Southampton, leaving St Mary's. It was as if all afternoon I'd been at Newcastle's home ground. Newcastle made all the noise. The supporters drowned out the Southampton fans. At the end of the game, all the activity in the reception area, the main entrance, was Newcastle based. Eddie Howe's walking about, Jason Tyndall's walking about, players coming and going, Trippier's walking through. Outside, the Newcastle coach is parked outside, and hundreds of fans are waiting to see them off, because Newcastle, as you've done probably, flew back up to the northeast. No one from Southampton about the place. And it was a strange feeling. It was a strange feeling, Simon. Heads were down.
Well, you just got beat 4-1. But I wanted to ask you, go back to Dragon and his attitude, because we read and we hear about Hasenhüttl's backroom staff being taken out underneath him. Now, in management times, and senior management comes in and says maybe we should refresh it. But in this world, in the football world, if you start refreshing beneath the manager, you're effectively indicating that this manager can't select a group of people who's not to be trusted.
See, in Scotland, you tease it.
Yeah. Do you get any sense?
Your tears out.
Did they?
I mean, writing is on the wall. Yeah, that's the beginning and the end.
Did they do that? I mean, obviously you get one thing being said in the press and another thing happening in reality a lot of the time.
Well,
is that what happened?
I'm only going by what I read, and they replaced some of his staff with others. I don't believe that was his choice. If it wasn't his choice, that is definitely beginning.
But if it wasn't his choice, in the football world, if it wasn't his choice, if that was done to you, you'd have gone, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
definitely. And that was dead man walking. And the irony for Southampton is you couldn't have got two football clubs at the different ends of a spectrum playing a game yesterday. You've got Newcastle with as much feel-good factor as possible. And you've got the yin and the yang in the same room and the same pitch.
Yeah.
Newcastle, it was a breeze for Newcastle yesterday. I'm looking at the goals at Maitland-Niles. I mean, on a couple of occasions. Was it the second or third goal? Second half. He has a chance to just come out and block a shot, and he sort of half turns 12, 13 yards from his own goal. That's not a team fighting for their manager. That's not a team fighting for their lives. That's not a team realising that they're in the mire. That was someone going through the motions. And all the goals yesterday, and Newcastle won easily and deserved to win. All those goals were avoidable. Very poor defending. It wasn't a team fighting for the manager and fighting for their lives.
What kind of direction do they go in now? We now know it's a kind of hold-off period now until the break. First team coach, assistant coach Richard Kitch-Bixler has left the club as well, so that paves the way for the first team lead coach Ruben Selles, who was there yesterday, who take charge of the side on an interim basis for the game on Wednesday night. They've got Carabao Cup matches. The club will announce a permanent replacement in due course. In what direction should they go? I mean, Simon, if you were Mr. Dragon, whatever his name is, at the top of the house, what direction would you go in? This is Southampton. What are they going to do? They're going to win anything anytime soon.
By the way, it's a good job for someone.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Depends what kind of job it is.
Is it though?
Yeah.
Sean.
They're a sensible crowd. They know the limitations. Of course, everyone wants to do better.
What's their ceiling?
Their ceiling would be mid-table looking up.
Yeah. Depends what the ownership looks like and depends what the ownership wants. Now, we're seeing an ownership that sounds sensible but goes and buys a group of players that aren't going to be necessarily fit for the purpose in the here and now. If it were me, I would have a conversation with Sean Dyche. I would look at Sean and say, okay, sensible, solid. Is it a long-term play? Okay, would Sean Dyche... what I wouldn't want is the situation where Sean Dyche publicly announces that he's not interested. But I think someone like Sean Dyche is a conversation worth happening. Now, when you have a conversation with somebody, it's a very different dynamic than what you have a perception of. You know, you have a perception of somebody in the public domain, like football does. It interviews almost in the public domain because you see people, you know about them, you've watched them play, you've watched them managed, you've read about them in the press, and then you meet them in person and they might be a very different person. So it might be a very different situation when you interview Sean Dyche. He might not be as compelling at times as he is when he's interviewing when he's in a very comfortable job in Burnley and knew his way around the place. But I would have a conversation with Sean Dyche, and I've got time to do it now. I've got time to do it. I've got 5 weeks to do it.
Well, time is not your friend, because you can get relegated by goal difference. You can get relegated by 1 point. So Southampton have to, I think, although it's not urgent,
but they can decant and breatve now, can't they? Because
they're away to Liverpool next weekend. So ideally, you want someone with the experience of our league, someone who can come in and hit the ground running. And the quicker you get him in situ, the quicker he can work with the players, so he's ready for the restart. But as I said, you can end up getting relegated by goal difference.
Okay, well, Hasenhüttl is gone. That's as long and short of it. Sacked this morning, and he will look back on his last game being a 4-1 home defeat at the hands of Newcastle United, who are on the rise, to say the least of it. We'll hear from Eddie Howe shortly. But Southampton fans, in an ideal world, who would you want in? You heard Simon there, Sean Dyche. Would he be top of your list? Would he be on your list? 03717 223344 81089. Hasenhüttl out of there.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.